seems like a great time to go over my snow camping gear. What's up everybody, my name is Blake and welcome to Everything Except Nothing. Today I want to go over all the essential gear that I take with me on a cold weather camping trip. Like I've said before, I don't typically hike in. This is a lot of gear. If you are looking for a quick hike-in version of a video, this isn't that, but this is all the gear that I take with me, basically everything on this table. So getting started with the tent, it's buried, so we'll go ahead and start with the sleeping bag. Now, I struggle with mummy bags. I have for a while, tried them out for a handful of years, and I can't get comfortable. I don't get a good night's sleep. So I went with a 0 degree. I got this at Army Surplus. Cabela's makes a version of this as well. This one's called a Slumberjack. It's a 0 degree bag made for cold weather. It's a flannel lining on the inside. Really warm bag. I cannot use this bag in the summer. Hot, I sweat in this bag, and then I get really cold. So the goal is to avoid moisture, and so in the wintertime, this bag's perfect, but in the summertime, I can't use it. So this is just a winter bag only. I think I picked that thing up for like $100 or something. So in the tent, my first layer is this aluminum foam insulation that I got from Home Depot. I throw a couple of these down. It helps keep insulate body heat, insulate me from the ground. Another thing I like to pick up, and I have this on almost all my camping equipment, are these Velcro straps. I picked up a couple of these from some data guys at work, but yeah, I try to Velcro everything. It's nice and it's easy. Don't have to have knots bound up here, and I like to keep things packaged nice and easy. So yeah, those Velcro straps, I recommend them. It's a double-sided Velcro. So the next layer in the tent is my Therm-A-Rest. So this is an 1.5 inch, I believe it's an 1.5 inch thick Therm-A-Rest, a large body, runs the length. It's not just the torso style, it goes pretty much down to my feet. So next is the tent. Now, I got this thing last year, the Cabela's Alaskan Guide 4-person tent. This thing is a beast. I love this tent. It's a 4-season tent, 4-person. It has a very, very well-sized vestibule. It's got liners in all 6 panels. I believe 3 panels. It's got liners on 3 panels. The other 3 panels there's a door in the front, a door in the back right corner, and then there's ventilation in the back left corner. So cup holders all around. It's got a really good fly for those of you who aren't familiar with 4-season tent. It has extra bracing across the sides to build that insulated air barrier as well as protect from snow if it comes down. It's just all around a great tent. Now, what I do want to say is that a couple people that I watched when I bought this said this is a 2-man person to build, and I won't disagree with them. It is definitely easier to build it with 2 people, but you can build it with 1 person. I've built it many times, especially after a cold weather trip. I built it and I put it outside so that it could dry out, and I did that all on my own. It just takes a little bit more time, but it is doable. In the video, my friends are helping me build it. It's just a lot easier, especially in cold weather. Things move a little bit slower, and yeah, it's always good to have some help. So we crammed all 4 people into that tent this past trip, and we were very, very warm. It was actually the most warm I think we have been on a cold weather camping trip, and I believe the low was 8 degrees and the high was 30. So not the warmest conditions. There was no wind, so that did help, and there was no cloud cover, so it was pretty cold, but in the tent we stayed very warm. Which brings me to the next piece of equipment that I take with me, and this is a year-round piece of equipment for me. I know some of you are saying something about how, I'm pansy for taking the heat, but really my whole philosophy is if I want to get my wife to go, if I want to get my son to go, especially while my son was younger, and my wife is just starting to go camping, I want to bring the gear that will make them most comfortable, get them out there, get them going, and then slowly drop off the gear if we can. If not, doesn't bother me. It's not that big. Doesn't take much time. But this is the Little Buddy single cylinder propane heater. It's got a high, a low, self-igniting. I think I got this for like 80, 90 bucks a couple years ago. It goes with us, like I said, year-round, just in case my wife or my son get uncomfortable, they can't get warm. This is a great tool to take off the bite of the cold. Now, we don't run it, for those of you who are concerned, we don't run it in the tent while we're sleeping. We always open all the flies, zippers up so that it's well insulated. This particular model, and I think many of the models, have a carbon monoxide sensor as well as a tip sensor. I do put it under a foil mat, very similar to the ones that we sleep on. Try to make it the best, safest situation. And then I also, when my son goes to bed earlier than the rest of us, I have another carbon monoxide sensor. I picked it up for like 10, 15 bucks at Home Depot, and I put it near his bed. Check on him every 15 minutes. But really what it is to, like I said, to take the bite off. It's not something we run all night. It's not something we live or die on. It's just something that I take as a convenience. And so right before bed, we'll crawl into the tent. It's typically pretty cold, especially this past trip. The fire was away from the tent. So ran this for about 10 minutes. It got, I'd say, a good 70, 80 degrees at the top of the tent in less than 5 minutes. So ramped up the temperature in the tent. Everyone went to bed. Everyone was fine. We've had trips occasionally where in another tent where we did not have this a 4-season. It was a 3-season, and it was really cold. So we woke up in the middle of the night, turned it off, take the bite off once again, and then turn it back off. Make sure we don't run it when everyone's sleeping. So great piece of equipment. Some of you might think that I'm not a real camper or whatever because I have that, but I'm going camping and I'm going to take it. So I thought I'd show it to you. So next is my BioLite. So if you've seen my other, my primary camping bag video, you know that I have a Jetboil style cooker in that bag. But I also have the BioLite, which if you guys want, I could do a review on this independently. But basically this is a self-powered thermal electric generator, and it has a pot here, and then I also have the grill attachment, and this is what I can use as a wood source cooking option. But I probably won't do a review on this particular piece of equipment because there's already thousands of them out there, and I'd basically just be going over what it does. But this is a great option if you run out of fuel, or you can only find twigs or whatever. This is what I like to use. That's basically how the camp is set up. And now fire. So for the last 3 years, actually my first cold weather camping trip, I really wanted to cut my own wood. When I first started camping a lot, I liked chopping wood. It's one of my favorite things to do when we're camping. It gives me something to do. It's a little bit of exercise. And so what I was doing was I was going to retrieve logs, bring them into camp, and I was using that hand cable saw I have in my primary bag, and that sucked. And I had this hatchet, and I was just trying to rip the wood apart. So since then, I have purchased a cheap Homelite chainsaw. It is gas-powered, 2-stroke fuel oil mix. Homelite from Home Depot. I think it was like 150 bucks. I take this, and also I just want to be clear when I'm talking about cutting down trees, I do not cut down live trees. One, it's not good for the forest, as well as not being good for burning because the tree is still wet. So where we go camping, there is a ton of downed trees. In this particular season, actually one of the trees was downed in camp. I went ahead and cut it up into logs, and then I split it with this hatchet. Sometimes if it's a little bit bigger of a, this is an east wing by the way, sometimes when it's a bit bigger of a trunk, I bring this full time too. By the way, all this gear comes with me on every winter camping trip. Some of this gear still comes with me on summer trips, but the axe is one of them. I use this to split larger logs that I'm struggling with, and then I usually finish it off with the hatchet. I've had this thing for 10, 12 years. This thing's a beast. Yeah, this thing is excellent. With cutting my own wood, it saves a lot of money. I think this thing's paid for itself. Yeah, so this is basically what we took with us this past camping trip. I had more wood in the truck in case we had an issue, but really I only used one piece about this size to get the fire started because the wood was not wet, but it was just a damp condition with the fire pit being damp. I did need to use one of these, but this is it. This is all the wood that we used, that we brought with us. Everything else was used that we could find. And we started the fire, I believe, at, I'd say 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we ran it until we went to bed. So a lot of firewood for a very little cost. So if you're going to camp a lot, then I recommend taking one of those. Definitely be careful. There's a lot of spooky videos out there on people messing themselves up.
This morning, it's cold out there.
It's very uncomfortable if you get to camp and you try to set up camp and you're already getting cold. So the first things that I like to make sure that I have, like I've mentioned before in my other video with my primary camping bag, I have a checklist that I use to make sure I have everything, and in one of those columns it is my clothing. So I'll go through the checklist in the summer and then the winter. So in the winter I have these Cabela's leather mitten glove combos, and I really like these because they're magnetic. It took me a while to find a set that I wanted that was both leather and magnetic. A lot of them are Velcro, and I didn't like that. I've had a pair before, and I didn't. They fell apart really quick. So yeah, just got these at Cabela's. Really warm. This is the 4th season I've had these, and they seem to be holding up pretty well. I did have one blowout, but I went ahead and stitched it myself, and I haven't had any problems. And that actually was when I bought them. They were on clearance, so I think maybe that is why they were so cheap. Next thing is my boots, a pair of Sorels here. Next is my snow pants. So I use an old pair of snowboard pants. Like any other person who will tell you about cold weather, camping, or just being out in the cold, is you want to have your base layer and then your insulating layer. Occasionally another insulated layer if you need it, and then your shell to keep you dry. So I use right now snowboard pants to do that because I don't have a pair of gaiters. I want to try those out. I might pick up some here in the future, but for now, snowboard pants are working out just fine. And as far as the upper body goes, I had my Under Armour underneath, a hoodie just like this, and I threw on a vest for a little while. You want to make sure you take those layers off so you don't start sweating, but I stay pretty warm. Occasionally I'll throw on a larger hoodie, and that's it. A hat, obviously you want to have a hat. And then I have these buffs. Put them around my neck, keeps everything nice and warm. Go ninja style. You can do all kinds of things with these, but usually I just either go ninja style like this or just to keep my neck warm. I'll put a link to a bunch of these items in the description below if you want to check them out. Some of these pieces of equipment I've had for a while. Some of them come from Home Depot, but I will try to do my best to link to the ones that are here. And that's it. That's all the stuff I take with me on a cold weather trip. So yeah, if you guys found this enjoyable or you have any comments or questions, please definitely leave them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you guys bring with you to your cold weather trips or even summer trips. I just would like to have that discussion. And if you guys don't mind, please click like, and if you haven't already, subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Thank you.